Pakistan is reigniting its conflict with Afghanistan with its own hands. But at the same time, it is also blaming India for starting this war. Is this the truth or just another tall tale by Pakistan? The Pakistan-Afghanistan conflict reignites in 2026 and shatters the fragile October 2025 ceasefire. Airstrikes rip through border provinces. Artillery answers from the other side. Islamabad blames militants. Kabul blames aggression. And once again, Pakistan points east. During the October war, it tried to pull India into the frame, to widen the narrative, to suggest encirclement. Now at India Today Global, we argue, is this merely a border clash or a calculated shift in the India-Pakistan rivalry? Have Kabul and Islamabad always stood this close to open confrontation? Is India quietly backing Afghanistan to pressure Pakistan? And what truly lit the fuse this time? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. The truce brokered in Doha on the 19th of October 2025 was never peace. It was a pause, a tactical breath between artillery duels. By February 22, 2026, Pakistan's Air Force struck 7 targets in Afghanistan's Paktika and Nangarhar provinces, claiming over 70 TTP and ISKP militants eliminated. Kabul reported madrasas hit, women and children dead, sovereignty violated. The Durand Line bristled. Crossings trembled, diplomats scrambled in Doha, Ankara and Riyadh. And in Islamabad, familiar words returned. Indian proxies. But here's the real question. Who truly reignited this war? Let's be clear. The 2026 flare-up did not emerge from nowhere. It erupted from a wound that never healed. The Durand Line, drawn in 1893 by Mortimer Durand, sliced through Pashtun lands like a colonial scar. Afghanistan never fully accepted it. Pakistan treated it as sacred. That disagreement alone poisoned relations from the first day of Pakistan's birth in 1947. Kabul voted against Pakistan's admission to the United Nations. Kabul supported Pashtunistan movements. Islamabad retaliated with closure and pressure. The hostility predates the Taliban. It predates the TTP. It predates modern jihadism. But the modern crisis has a sharper trigger, the Tehreek-E-Taliban Pakistan. Formed in 2007, hardened by years of war, fractured by Pakistani operations like Zarb-e-Azb, and then revived after the US withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021, the TTP returned with a vengeance. By 2024-2025, cross-border ambushes intensified, checkposts fell, convoys burned, Pakistani officers died in Kurram, North Waziristan, Bajaur. Islamabad blamed sanctuaries in Afghan provinces like Khost and Paktika. Kabul denied sheltering them. The denial convinced no one in Rawalpindi. Operation Khyber Storm in October 2025 marked the first major rupture. Pakistani jets struck Kabul, Khost, Jalalabad, Paktika. Targets included facilities allegedly linked to TTP Emir Nur Wali Mahsood. Mahsood survived. The Taliban retaliated. Spin Boldak exploded in artillery fire. Civilian casualties mounted. UN agencies tallied dozens dead and hundreds wounded. Borders closed. Torkham and Chaman fell silent. Trade froze. Flour prices doubled in Kabul and Peshawar. Thousands fled. Then came the 48-hour ceasefire. Mediated by Qatar and Turkey, announced with cautious optimism, Kabul pledged not to support TTP attacks. Pakistan pledged not to strike Afghan forces or infrastructure. It sounded orderly. It was not. Skirmishes continued, trust evaporated. February 2026 became the breaking point. A suicide bombing at an Islamabad Shia mosque reignited fury. 2 Pakistani soldiers, including a colonel, died in northwest clashes days later. Islamabad announced conclusive evidence of Afghan-based handlers. President Asif Ali Zardari framed airstrikes as unavoidable self-defense. Information Minister Ataullah Tarar defended precision targeting. Pakistan said 70 militants fell. Kabul said 17 to 18 civilians died in a madrasa strike with 6 missing. The truth likely sits in the grey zone of war, but the consequence is undeniable. The ceasefire is broken. During the October conflict, Pakistan's Defence Minister Khwaja Asif claimed that Afghanistan fights a proxy war for India. He questions whether the truce can hold because decisions of the Taliban are being sponsored by New Delhi. He hints that Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi's visit to India carried ulterior motives. He frames Kabul's defiance as Indian orchestration.
That they are now waging a proxy war against Pakistan. Delhi and Kabul and all these outfits and terrorism outfits in Kabul, they are on the same page. And
meaning they act. I mean, Delhi is telling Kabul to strike Pakistan?
Absolutely.
I mean, you have evidence of that? Those are very serious allegations, Mr. Minister.
It is a serious allegation because it is having serious consequences for us,
India denies this forcefully.
No, they'll not accept it, How can you, expect from them to accept it, They'll keep denying it, But, they enjoy a very good relation with Kabul.
But are his accusations credible? India did reopen diplomatic channels with Kabul. India expanded humanitarian outreach. India signaled readiness to reopen its embassy. That engagement centers on trade, infrastructure, influence, and yes, it is strategic. It is cautious, yes, but evidence that India directs Taliban battlefield decisions remains thin. Pakistan's narrative rests on suspicion, not proof. Islamabad historically blamed foreign hands during internal crises. In Balochistan, it blamed India. In TTP attacks, it blamed India. In economic turmoil, it blamed India. The reflex returns in 2026. But ask a harder question. Does India need to sponsor the Taliban to hurt Pakistan? Pakistan faces a TTP insurgency rooted in its own militant ecosystem. The TTP formed from networks once tolerated or differentiated as good versus bad militants. Blowback is real. Cross-border sanctuary is complicated. Afghan Taliban's ideological proximity complicates it further. But that does not automatically equal Indian sponsorship. Relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan were rarely warm. In the 1950s and 1960s, Kabul backed Pashtun nationalist agitation. In the 1970s, temporary thaw occurred under Daud Khan and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. The 1979 Soviet invasion transformed Pakistan into a frontline state backing the Mujahideen factions. That support mutated into Taliban patronage in the 1990s. Strategic depth became doctrine. After 2001, Pakistan officially aligned with the United States while segments of its security establishment allegedly maintained links with Taliban factions. Kabul accused Islamabad of duplicity. Islamabad accused Kabul of harboring anti-Pakistan militants. The cycle persisted. So were relations always this bad? They oscillated between suspicion and hostility. Trust remained scarce. The Durand Line remained disputed. Militant proxies remained tools. The 2026 escalation does not create a new front for India-Pakistan rivalry. It exposes an old one. Afghanistan historically served as a theatre of influence between the two. During the 1990s, India supported the Northern Alliance while Pakistan backed the Taliban. After 2001, India invested in Afghanistan infrastructure and soft power while Pakistan guarded its western flank anxiously. The difference in 2026 lies in perception. Pakistan sees India's diplomatic return to Kabul as encirclement. Pakistan fears losing leverage in a country it once considered its backyard. Every Taliban assertion of sovereignty becomes, in Islamabad's imagination, a Delhi whisper. Yet Afghanistan's Taliban government pursues its own calculus. It seeks legitimacy. It demands sovereignty. It resists external diktats. It denies harboring TTP while resisting Pakistani airstrikes. It balances between isolation and recognition. It calculates survival, not service to India. The humanitarian toll deepens the crisis. UN tallies from late 2025 recorded over 70 civilian deaths and nearly 500 injured during peak clashes. February 2026 risks repetition. Border closures spike inflation. Deportations of Afghan migrants from Pakistan intensify resentment. Trade reroutes to Iran's Chabahar port. Economic strain amplifies political anger. International actors urge restraint. The United States calls for de-escalation. China watches CPEC vulnerabilities nervously. Qatar and Turkey reopen mediation channels. None desire full-scale war. Pakistan holds air superiority. Afghanistan lacks comparable air power. That asymmetry discourages total war but encourages controlled retaliation. Taliban responses remain largely confined to border artillery and rhetoric. Strategic restraint mixes with nationalist defiance. So what led to the 2026 ignition? Persistent TTP attacks, Pakistan's refusal to tolerate sanctuaries, Afghanistan's refusal to publicly dismantle TTP networks under foreign pressure, mutual mistrust hardened by history, domestic politics in both capitals, and a ceasefire designed as a pause rather than a settlement. Is India exploiting the situation? India does benefit from Pakistani distraction, yes. A Western front consumes Pakistani bandwidth. But benefit does not equal orchestration. India's engagement with Kabul signals strategic positioning, not open proxy warfare. The deeper truth cuts sharper. Pakistan confronts a two-front insecurity. India to the east, instability to the west. Afghanistan confronts isolation, sanctions, and sovereignty disputes. The TTP exploits geography and grievance. This is not a new war. It is an old rivalry resurfacing in new uniforms. The Durand Line remains contested. The TTP remains lethal. Trust remains absent, and in February 2026, the ceasefire lies shattered. The real danger does not lie in a few airstrikes. It lies in narratives hardening into doctrine. If Islamabad convinces itself that Kabul acts only at India's behest, diplomacy shrinks. If Kabul frames every strike as existential aggression, retaliation grows. If India sees opportunity in quiet engagement while denying proxy allegations, suspicion multiplies. The 2026 escalation is not inevitable destiny. It is the product of choices. Militant toleration, cross-border strikes, rhetorical escalation, and fragile truces built on denial. Pakistan and Afghanistan never fully resolved their foundational dispute. They managed it, they postponed it, they militarized it. Now, they relive it. The real danger in 2026 is miscalculation. Pakistan believes limited airstrikes restore deterrence. The Taliban believes calibrated retaliation preserves credibility. Both believe they control escalation. History in this region proves otherwise. One drone goes off target, one commander overreacts, one border post falls. Suddenly, artillery duels expand beyond Khurram and Spinball Dak. Refugee flows surge again. Trade collapses. The Durand Line turns into an active war trench. Neither side wants total war. Both keep walking toward it in small, confident steps. Inside Pakistan, the pressure is brutal. Tehreek-E-Taliban Pakistan regains momentum after 2021. Suicide bombings return. Military funerals multiply. Public anger rises. The army cannot appear weak. Cross-border sanctuaries become politically intolerable. So Islamabad strikes across the line. Operation names change. Strategy does not. Eliminate leadership. Destroy camps. Send a message. But every strike that kills civilians strengthens Taliban hardliners in Kabul. Every civilian funeral becomes propaganda against Pakistan. Inside Afghanistan, the Taliban leadership faces its own dilemma. If it cracks down hard on TTP elements, it risks internal fractures among militant factions with ideological ties. If it refuses action, it invites Pakistani air power. It chooses ambiguity. It denies hosting militants. It promises investigation. It condemns violations of sovereignty. It mobilizes troops near the border but avoids deep incursions. This balancing act keeps Kabul in power but keeps the conflict alive. And then there is the strategic triangle. Pakistan fears encirclement. It sees Indian engagement in Kabul as hostile geometry. India insists its engagement is developmental and diplomatic. Yet, in South Asian geopolitics, intent matters less than perception. When Pakistani leaders allege proxy warfare, they speak to domestic audiences as much as international ones. Blaming India reframes the conflict from counterterrorism failure to regional conspiracy. It shifts narrative control. The 2026 flare-up also exposes something deeper: the failure of October 2025 ceasefire architecture. A 48-hour truce, extended through mediation, never addressed enforcement mechanisms. No joint verification teams, no transparent intelligence sharing, no binding framework on militant sanctuaries. It was a pause, not a settlement. When TTP attacks resumed, the ceasefire had no shock absorbers. It collapsed under predictable pressure. So what truly led to the Pak-Afghan conflict reigniting? A toxic mix of unresolved borders, militant sanctuaries, political mistrust, economic coercion, and regional rivalry narratives. Not one trigger, a layered crisis. And unless sanctuary politics ends or a durable border mechanism emerges, February 2026 will not be the last escalation. It will simply be another chapter in a conflict that never truly ended, only paused long enough to reload. Thank you for watching Statecraft.